Welcome to Corinne's Picks. I'm Daniel Lanzilotta. I'm your host. And just a little background information, we're going to be switching over to a different format, a little bit different. The new show is going to be called Artivation TV, Artist, Art, Activism, and Activation. And so I'm bringing on artists who are, and people who are activists, artists. And tonight's guest is Joan Daidone, a native New Yorker, a patron of the arts, and my interest in having you on as a guest was your dedication to being a mentor to artists. Could you tell us about that, please?
Yes, I mean, I've been a writer all of my life, but part of that was working with writers and working with visual artists from basically the age of 18, 19. I became involved with the feminist press as an intern, and then the International Festival of Women Filmmakers. And I found myself working with filmmakers and with graphic artists and with many different types of artists over the years. And most of my friends were visual artists, and I helped with promoting them, helping them to meet other artists, and helping them do pop-up shows. And back in the day, I lived in the East Village and the Lower East Side. So, we would work together in, putting together shows. And
so you're being a mentor to a painter here in New York. Mm-hmm. How important is it for an artist to have someone like you come along and say, "I'm interested in seeing you develop"? How do you go about it? How do you support that artist? Is it financially, spiritually? Is your morale boost? You find them opportunities.
There's a lot of different ways. I mean, I've been involved in community art organizations over the years. So it can be helping them to get involved in an open studio tour and helping to promote that. It can be helping to show their work to galleries. In some cases, I've worked with artists where I've helped them to get the funding for art supplies, helping them to write grants. I work on, a lot of artists don't know how to even do a CV or their own artist statement. They don't know how to promote themselves. They're in their studios, and they're not really connected to the community. So for me, I see myself as a connector and as someone who helps artists to kind of reach out to the community and to meet the types of people who can help them either get shows or, I mean, in some cases, I had this one artist who was, just relying on selling his original work, and I said, well, you have to go beyond that. You have
to. We have some of that art. Can we see one of those? Some of that art that we're speaking to. This is Anthony.
Yes, this is an artist that I've been working with for, I guess maybe the last 4 or 5 years. Anthony Newton. I met him selling his work on the street, and I said, "Wow! I mean,
That's powerful.
Yeah,
That's
he
powerful.
has a very singular voice, but he was selling his work on the street for a few $100s and less." And I said, "Wow!"
Right.
And he's actually involved in an organization called Fountain House that works with artists who have had problems with mental illness and or addiction. So he has a difficult time making the kinds of connections without, others kind of promoting him. And I saw his work, and I happened to be just moving to a new apartment that happened to be in Sugar Hill, and I said, I want you, do you know Augusta Savage? I mean, and he didn't know. He's, an artist, a black artist, but didn't know her work, didn't know, her significance during the Harlem Renaissance. And we worked together, collaborating, and, helped him with the research and whatever, and he came up with this amazing painting.
Now, he's also working on a book with the...
Right. After that, I introduced him to a musician friend who is a ensemble and guitar instructor at LaGuardia Community College, and he's also taught at City College. And he just did a book on guitar instruction called Chord Shapes and Movements, and he did the illustrations for that book.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yeah,
I love that you're doing that.
Yeah.
That's what this whole show is supposed to be about. This nexus, this hub of artists and people like you, patrons of the art, people who have the experience. Not only are you doing this as mentorship and mentoring artists and supporting them the way you do, but you have a tremendous amount of experiences in different disciplines: poet, writer, humanitarian. I see this as a big, gigantic plus. I wish there were a lot more of you, and how you go about doing this. It's really quite stunning. Now, the background painting we have here, can you tell us a little bit about that one?
Now, that is a painting by my late partner, and he did some work when he was very young, but hadn't been involved in art for many, many years. But I was involved with, and I had started a gallery working with emerging artists and immigrant artists, and he was so excited by the work, he just said, and he was going through actually a difficult time. He was going through depression. And he started working with one of the artists who I was, working with, and she, gave him some classes, and he just started painting, and it transformed him, and he just started, he was painting every day.
Right.
And then I introduced him to another group, and he joined this group called the 14th Colony Artists Group. And they all were like blown away by his work.
Thank you for sharing that. How do we find Anthony? Is he on social media?
Anthony, you can find on social media, on Instagram, he's on Artsy, and
What's his full name?
Is Anthony Newton.
Okay. And what I'm trying to do next with this platform, how do you see the artist as activist? And does the way artists paint and show up, I think we need the artists more so than ever, all of us, that there's no competition among us, that we're out there doing our work, and the work stands for something and has a voice. How do you see activism in today's light, under the umbrella of what's happening politically in this country, in this city?
Well, for instance, there was one artist that I have worked with, and I'm not going to mention a political campaign, but we did a mural project. And so we did this live painting event. And we brought people from the community, we brought in kids, and we started, painting this wall in this community, in the community, and just transformed it. And we brought people who didn't think about art. People who don't go into galleries or go into museums as much, getting really excited about what we were doing. we were, doing paintings of luminaries who were from the community, and just getting involved with making, just bringing people together for this event. And it's just, and another way, I mean, with Anthony, we're working on a book together, chronicling the lives of Black American composers, starting with from classical through jazz to hip hop. I mean, and
So you're doing the text and
I'm doing the text. I'm doing the research, and he's doing
portraits of the
artists.
Wow.
Yeah,
His paintings are so unique. It's such a voice, and it's just amazing. You cannot mix him up with anybody else. I mean, that's such an important aspect of being an artist, is to have that signature.
Yeah, have that signature style.
I tell that to artists, and they get it, and some don't, and some are confused. But the artists that I look at, who I'm trying to see if there's a voice of activism in it, you could see it. It's there, and the artist doesn't know about it. I just had that experience with someone, and that's so important what you're doing. The fact that you're there supporting that effort is priceless.
Well, for me also, working with him and introducing, he only really, his early work was only about hip hop and hip hop artists. And I said, did you know that, Kendrick Lamar and, Nas or whatever, they were influenced by Thelonious Monk and this artist, so we've been just, kind of going back and forth, and that kind of, those kinds of interactions and that kind of excitement about, he's feeding me, I'm feeding him, and that kind
Priceless.
of, yeah.
Priceless. I certainly thank you for doing that. I mean, that's what I'm trying to do with Artivation TV, and I could put this out here. If anyone has any information about an artist that might be interesting to me as an artist activist, I can be reached at artivationtv@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you. So that's the whole nexus of and the focus of what I'm trying to do here. Excuse me, and I hope it this goes in the direction of how artists stand for something, and that the art represents the times in which we live, and that we can find ourselves some peace in the work, and as artists to create without the external world confusing us. That's a really important aspect of being an artist today.
Yeah, I think, and also the pop-up shows that are happening more and more, salons. I recently did a salon in Harlem with bringing together musicians, artists, as well as spoken word and poets, and that kind of collaboration, and just kind of us, kind of jamming and playing off each other. Yeah.
Like an old world salon out of Paris from the 30s or 40s, with the cigarette smoke going up and the dark light, and then the film noir look of that sort of connection. It's so important that we have that we're here for each other, and we're not competing with each other, and that we're finding some center, a place. And the places are becoming more and more rare because of rent, cost of rent and studio space and what have you. We're going to be going to a public service announcement soon. So just how can we find you personally?
Well, you can find me on Instagram under my name, Joan Daidone, also under Joni Writer on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, and my website will be up again soon, and it'll also be coming on soon, which will have my my ekphrastic poetry, my short stories. I also I write one-act plays. So
When we come back, I want to talk to you about ekphrastic.
Ekphrastic.
Yeah. That's a word I don't think a lot of people have heard.
No.
And the first time I heard it was from you, and I've been very intrigued just by the word. You know, the word alone is like, wow, that's an interesting word. But what it is, what you do, and how that affects an artist, or do artists actually know what this term means?
Most don't. No, it's certain writers know of it.
How do you spell that?
Ekphrastic is EKPHASTIC.
Did I just put you under the...
Yes, you did, because
That's good.
Right.
I think you got it right.
I think I got it right,
Because I've looked it up several
whatever.
times going, oh, this
No.
is a hard word.
I mean, I've been doing it for years and didn't realize that that's the kind of writing that I was doing.
Right. So as soon as we come back, we're going to pick up from that, and we'll talk about that type of writing. Welcome back to Corinne's Picks. I'm Daniel Lanzilotta, your host, and tonight's guest is Joan Daidone. We're going to pick up where we left off, and we're going to use a term I never heard of until I met Joni, ekphrastic writing.
Ekphrastic.
Ekphrastic. I have that Bronx accent.
I know.
I'm very proud of it, by the way.
Yes,
So-
and you should be.
Oh, yes, I've defended it many times. Tell us what this is. This is mysterious to me.
Okay, well, it's a form of writing, whether it's poetry, whether it's fiction, or where a writer is responding to visual art or music. And I've worked with it both ways. In fact, Patti Smith, even though she didn't speak about it in that way, her early writing was very much ekphrastic writing, because she would be listening to music and doing her poetry. And at times, or she would be reacting to photography or art. So that's the type of writing that I've been doing. I recently did a workshop at a gallery in Harlem, Artful Walls, where artists came in, and we invited some folks from the community for an art tour, and then we just sat and had everyone in the group basically react and to the art in whatever way, how did it move them? What did it conjure up? What kind of stories, from their own life did it bring? And it's what I find, and it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be a writer or an artist or whatever, but it's a way of connecting with the art in a deeper way. And so I started, even though I've done it in different parts of my work. I started doing it with when my late partner passed. He had, 70 plus paintings, and we had always talked about doing a book together. And since I didn't have the opportunity to do it with him when he was here, I started to write a book of prose poems, ekphrastic poems, reacting to his work.
And did you do, this is called Dancing Spirits?
Dancing Spirits, yes, I've done one for Dancing Spirits. Don't ask me to repeat it right now
No,
because I won't know it. But yes, I've done it.
Put you under that kind of pressure.
But I've done it for 50 of his paintings,
Wow.
and that will be coming out at the beginning in January of 2026. I have another book I call My Women, My Tribe, and that is a reaction to photographs of my grandmothers, my aunts. They were all they were immigrants, and telling their stories, and other women who inspired me over the years, women from the feminist press, and various artists I met, various teachers, and some activists, and Patti Smith, who I met many years ago, and at the Women's Film Festival. So it's just all these women some who mentored me, and then and some, as I said, who were ancestors, but also some who I've mentored. I have a former student, Fatima, who I met through the International Community High School in the Bronx, where I was a writing mentor, and and I've known her since she was in high school, and then through her, she went to SUNY Purchase, and she's got involved in political science, and it's transformed. Writing was the connection that led her to her focus in political science, and now she wants to go on for her master's in international relations. But
what kind of reward how do you feel about when you see the results of changing or influencing someone's life in such a positive, wonderful, most constructive way I can think of?
For me, life is service, but it's more as in these kinds of, I get more out of it than I could ever offer to someone else.
Right.
Because it really feeds me, it inspires me, it makes me want to do another workshop, it makes me want to, inspires me to write, it gives me that energy. And when everything, when I'm in the situation we're in now, politically, socially, it keeps me going, because I can't be restricted by all the negative energy.
Right.
I need to find something positive. And when I work with someone like Fatima, or when I work with some of the other kids, there was another young man, Mohammed, that I worked with some years ago, and various, others who have I've known since they were, 11, 12 years old, and it keeps me going, because it's like I can't stop. I mean, I don't have the luxury of feeling bad or giving up or not, because these young people, and they're not all so young, but, need, someone who sees them,
Right.
Who sees their potential.
Hearing you say this gives me a lot of joy, knowing that you're doing this, and knowing that this platform here at BronxNet is going to, there'll be a link from the show, and that it's captured, and it's shareable, and that we set this out into the universe in our community, the Bronx, New York City in general, and that we keep this going. This is what's going to save us.
Oh,
I don't
100%
believe in
agree.
resistance. When people say resist, no, that will get you sick. And what you're doing is what I've been saying for a long time: conductivity.
Yeah.
Have conductivity. Have a conversation with someone you really don't like. Go have a beer with them. Have a conversation. Have a coffee. And this is what you're like, the epitome of it, really. I mean, what you're doing, just in this short time that we've shared together. But I've talked to you, out in the real world, and it's really magnificent to be here under these circumstances in the Bronx, my hometown, where I was born and raised. It's refreshing to hear you speak like this.
No.
This is it. This is how we do it. And this is my calling, to hear that from you, someone independent, because it has to be. We can't depend on groups and this and that.
No.
It has to be really about an individual making a difference, as you said, service. And what's intriguing about the whole thing, in a few sentences, because we're going to wrap it up soon, where did this seed come from?
I think the seed came from my mother. My mother took me door to door when I was 5, 6, whatever years old, registering people to vote. And she was involved, and she was also I think she was a bit of a frustrated artist herself. And she had music playing all the time, and she fed me books. I mean, I was taught to read when I was 3 years old, and reading saved me and changed my life, because my mother became, unfortunately, very ill when I was 8 years old. But it was those books.
What was
and
her
being
name?
Able to, Elena. Elena Tucci.
Elena Tucci. Well, I'm glad that we had this opportunity to bring up her name, to summon her name and say her name. It makes me very happy. And so I'd like to thank you for sharing your experiences, most of all being a mentor to young people, young creatives. I'm very pleased. Thank you again.
Thank you.
And thank you to BronxNet, and thank you to the staff and crew, and thank you to Corinne Basabe, most of all.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Daniel Lanzilotta.